Are you ready for this?
Ready as I'll ever be.
Well, hey, and welcome back. Thanks for coming back to join me. I'm Olivia Jane, the serial mompreneur, and today, as you can see, we have a very special guest. Drum roll, please. This is my husband, Dave, and he is going to help me tell our debt story. But before we get to that, please subscribe, hit that little red button. I would absolutely love it. And as always, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and comment below. I'd love to connect with you guys in the comments. And please head on over to Instagram. You can find me there at Livy Volmer. All right, now for the good stuff.
Great stuff.
So the great stuff, but not easy stuff, right? Because nothing good is easy. So Dave, give these guys kind of the backstory, the picture of where we were about 10 years ago when we got married. Financially, what did things look like?
When we first got married, we kind of came from opposite ends of the spectrum. I like to joke about the fact that when we moved Olivia out of her Manhattan apartment out to New Jersey because we had just gotten married, all of her earthly possessions fit into one trip in my Jeep Grand Cherokee. So,
traveling light through this world,
yeah,
guys.
she was traveling light. She was debt-free. Okay, keep that as a note. Me, let's shift over to me on the other hand. I had several vehicles. I had a jet ski. I had 2 motorcycles that weren't even being used.
Lots of toys.
I did have a mortgage on a condominium that we moved into and we actually still own. But yeah, I had a bit of a mountain of debt that I was working on. But I think Olivia's about to point out, I did have some savings. I was starting IRAs in my early 20s.
And you had some money in the bank. It was really interesting. Like, I was living debt-free, but I was also an actress and model in New York City and didn't really have savings built up. Whereas Dave had some savings and certainly more assets, but also had debt. So when we got together, we wanted to formulate a plan as quickly as possible. We wanted to get out of all debt besides our mortgage on our condo. So that was the goal. We sat down, we made a list starting with the smallest amount of debt to the highest. Your student loans were probably the highest at that point. And we used the Dave Ramsey snowball method. And I know you guys, some of you guys might be familiar with that. It's where you choose the smallest amount of debt and you eliminate that, and then you kind of gain momentum, and then you go after the next one. So it's a little different than what some financial advisors would suggest, that you start with your debt with the highest interest rate, kill that one first, no matter the amount. This worked well for us because it was really exciting when we paid off that first tiny credit card that you had. It was like, okay, we can do this.
Yeah. It's important to note that we were both willing to be on the same team and have this plan together.
Yeah.
If you're fighting about this, then it might not work, but it was really important that we were both flexible in coming together with this plan.
Right, and that was step one, is that we both wanted this.
Yeah.
It's really hard if you don't. You got to get on the same page first.
For sure.
Then we made the list, we started going through it, but something that really helped us get through our debt snowball was picking up extra income. So the big disclaimer I like to say is we didn't have family bail us out on any of this. We didn't ask for money. Hey, we need to get out of debt. We didn't have help there. And at the time, we
sold off a lot of unnecessary toys.
We also sold things
previously
as well.
Mentioned earlier in this video.
We got down to 2 vehicles, which was really smart for 2 people, and no more toys, no more
jet ski.
jet
that jet ski at all.
I went out on the jet
one
ski
time and it was miserable for both of us.
We kind of hated it together. So that was nice to get rid of that and throw that towards the debt. So we did sell stuff, but the other disclaimer I like to say is at the time, we really didn't have high salaries. We hadn't started our businesses. In fact, for you mompreneurs, entrepreneurs out there, if you're thinking, if you haven't started your business yet, I would suggest pay off all debt besides your mortgage before you get started. That allowed us to start every single business debt-free.
Absolutely.
So every time we wanted to start a business, if it, required purchasing inventory or whatever, we just saved for it, and we didn't start a business until we could start debt-free. So that was it. We didn't have big salaries when we did this. Dave was working full-time for a land surveying company. I was kind of transitioning from that actress model life in New York. So I was still doing some footwear modeling, but really like part-time-ish on the side. It wasn't that much work at that time, and just doing some odd jobs. But we really picked up some crazy odd jobs in that time because we wanted to eliminate all this debt. And we came up with, I think it was around $35,000 that we had besides our mortgage on our condo that we wanted to pay off. And we're like, okay, let's do this. Let's kill this as quickly as possible. So some of the side jobs that I did, I picked up some nanny jobs, some babysitting. In fact, I would babysit this kid overnight. There was a single dad that found me on care.com, and he was in a midnight hockey league. So he literally needed someone to come and sleep on his couch.
Did you ever even meet that kid?
No, I never met the kid.
You never even met the kid?
I never even saw the kid that I was babysitting. I was sleeping on his couch, and I think making like 15 bucks an hour, which at the time was fantastic. So if you're hungry for it and you want to get out of debt and you're willing to work, there's ways to do it. So that's what I did. And then Dave.
I've always done some landscaping in various forms. And so I just picked up a bunch of side lawns that I would do after work. And then I also took a little part-time job on weekends where I worked super early mornings at a golf course. I love the perks of being able to play for free at that golf course after I worked. And so it was good to make a few extra bucks. We were working a lot. We were hustling and just working these little jobs. And it's important to note, this was early in our marriage. So we did spend an awful lot of time together, but we didn't have kids and we didn't have things that we were able to spend our time.
That helps. That
running
definitely
around
helped.
doing this at this point. It was not detrimental to our marriage or family life.
No, we were able to get most everything in. So we did that. We did that hustle and bustle for about 18 months, and we paid off $35,000 of debt, and that felt phenomenal.
Really good.
And once we hit that goal of no debt besides our mortgage, we are really grateful that we've been able to stay in that place. And that has kind of shaped all of our spending since that point.
For sure.
We will just come out and tell you, we are those crazy people. We pay cash for vehicles. All of our cars, our trucks, we will just save until we have what we need to pay for that car or truck.
Every time we're in the dealership, they keep trying to tell us, why don't you want to finance this? Why don't they want to just take our money? I don't know.
Well, the last time when I bought my vehicle, it was, oh, well, the SUV is, it's only like $150 more a month on the payment. And I'm like, no, I'm paying cash.
Yeah.
I'm one of these crazy people, and they will look at you like you're insane.
Yeah.
I challenge you guys, be insane. I mean, the first few vehicles that we bought with cash were nothing to write home about, but they got us around town, and we don't have payments on anything besides our mortgage. That's how we choose to live. It is crazy, but it has served us well. What were you going to say?
No, it's just funny. When we bought the truck just a few months ago, I actually could have had it sooner. I could have had it weeks earlier if we financed it. But because we were paying cash, we had to wait a few more weeks for it. Because they have to verify funds and all this weird stuff. But it's okay. Be patient. You can pay cash for things. It's okay.
It is okay. Don't be afraid to be weird. Nothing good is easy. We could say that through all of this. Nothing good is easy. But that's where we are with it today. We still have our home mortgage. That is our next big challenge that we've kind of been revisiting in the last year. How do we get rid of our home mortgage as quickly as possible? So the goal is by my 40th birthday. So I will tell you my age. We have 2 more years. Let's see if we can do it. It's going to be quite the task, but we've done this before.
We've done this before.
We have done this craziness before, and we can do it. That's what we do. And then just to kind of round off some of this Dave Ramsey talk, I really love Dave Ramsey, and we go along with him about 95% of the way. Sure. But there's a couple of things that we disagree with Dave, or that for our life just didn't really work. Dave would tell you, cut up all your credit cards, do not do anything on credit. we, throughout all of this, our debt payoff, and still to this day, have one credit card that we use, and we do put a lot on it. It has a great cash back. We still keep a budget. We don't spend. We treat our credit card like we're spending cash because we pay it off every single month. Every single month. We know that payment's coming. So if you can control yourself, I think it's a great tool. Also, I come from a family that has traveled internationally extensely, all over the world. And that's something that Dave has...
I know, traveled internationally extensively.
All over the world here with me. He's jumped into since we got married. And I will tell you, I'm sorry, Dave Ramsey, there are some places I've been on this earth, like a car rental place in the middle of nowhere, South Island, New Zealand. They're not going to take a debit card. Even the new Visa debit cards, it's not going to cut it. And I will tell you, like, I'm just not going to argue that. I'm going to have my Visa and use it. So if you're an international traveler, keep a credit card, keep one, budget, keep it simple. And then also Dave Ramsey would tell you, don't buy real estate unless you can pay for it 100% cash after your home.
Off your home.
Right, let me back that up. So after you pay off your home that you're living in, if you want to invest in real estate, Dave Ramsey would tell you, you need to just save up cash for that and then do it. We have decided as small business owners, we want to diversify our retirement, that we do have 2 rental properties that we have mortgages on. And we're okay with that. I think a good rule of thumb is to do a 15-year mortgage if you're going to mortgage rental properties. And that's something we did with our last house, and that moving forward, we definitely will stick with that rule. So these are just some little suggestions.
They work for us.
This is what worked for us. This is our story. We are laying it all out there, numbers and everything, all the nitty gritty.
But talk about it. It's good to have that conversation.
It's good to have that conversation. Get on the same page with your spouse. And if things get tough, remember, nothing good is easy, folks. Hang in there. You got this. And I will see you next week. How'd we do?
Pretty good.